Welcome back. This is problem 1.2 for basically we need to write a program that outputs the number of times Bob occurs in a string. And my name is Scott Hamlin. It's the 29th of August 2020. And of course I've written the code already, but we're going to start from the beginning. I listed the basically the assignment parameters. Our output should read number of times Bob occurs in X, X being the string, and if we do that, then we'll satisfy the specification. What I did, I've already entered in 4 test cases that we can test against and given out the results I expect. So on test case S1, I expect Bob to be come out twice. And that's even when you go BOB and then it starts up again with a B, you can use the same B and get another Bob. Test case number 2, you get 5 Bobs. Test case number 3 gets 2, and then I put a null test case in there to make sure that it returns 0. And I made a tuple, or I actually made a list of test cases, S1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we'll start from there. And this was a very interesting problem because you really got to learn a lot about the loops and the for statements. Loops are hard to understand when you're coming from Java because they don't quite work the same. Actually, probably more powerful in Python. Okay, so for each in test cases, so we can basically, we want to go loop through each of the elements in our list of test cases, S1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'll make a little note there. Iterate through 4 test cases. Okay. And we learned a lot about indentation during this exercise too, and how doing it wrong can get assignments not run. Okay, we want to keep track of a counter. And this is going to count how many times Bob comes up in the string. So we'll set it to 0. So each time we start a new case, we'll initialize it back to 0. Now, we're going to use the variable string length to get for the length of each. So for each test case, it's like S1, I want to know what the string length of it is so that I can iterate through the whole string and not get an error for going past the end. Okay, so we're going to do a nested for. So for I in range, so for every basically letter in range of length each. Let's see, 1, 2. So we're going to go through each character or each letter, basically, of our test case, and we're going to do commands on that. So iterate through test case. Okay. Okay, we've got our indentation, and we go. Then we want another. We want an if statement. If each. Okay, so for each basically letter, we're going to check to see if it equals the letter B. And if it does equal the letter B, we want to go ahead and we want to see if it's the start of Bob. So rather than having to go through the next letter or whatever, we're just going to go and check it right away. If each, and we're going to check for the next, we're going to check for the letter we're on, which would be a B, or we wouldn't be in this loop. And we want to go and get all the next letters, next 2, since this is not inclusive. We have to go 3. And we're going to check to see if an O and a B are following that. And we're going to see if we've got a Bob. And if we do, that's good. So we want counter to increment up 1. Okay, and oh, not I, 1, right? Okay. Now we've gone through that. Now we also, after we check for that first B, now if B doesn't come up, or even if it does come up, we always want to check on each iteration if I is basically equal to length minus 1, because I will never get to, I's never going to come down and equal the length. So we're going to check to see if we're at the very last character. And if we are at the last character, we're going to go ahead and report our results. So we're going to print, and we're going to print each, which is going to be, in the very first one, it will be S1. So it's going to print out what the test case is, so you can see what we're testing against. And we're going to do, and this is the assignment requirement, number of times Bob occurs is, and plus, and then string, because we don't want to get an error for trying to print an integer, and concatenate. Okay, so that's our code. And we'll go Shift Enter. Okay, let's see, what did we do here? We got one error. Okay, invalid if each I. Okay, there we go. After if, definitely have your colon. Okay, that's one thing you have to get used to as well. Instead, I'm glad we got rid of the brackets, but you got to remember to use colons. So let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so we've gone through test case number 1, S1. There's our string, and number of times Bob occurs. We got 1, and then it occurs a second time, so 2 times. Test case Bob, a bunch of Bobs in here. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. There, let's see, it says 5. 1, 2, and then we got a double Bob because they connected. 3, and then there's a 4th. And there's a 5th. Got a lot of B's and O's. Try to make it as complicated as possible. We'll really test it out. Test case 3, we got 2, 1, and 2. And then we have this test is null. There's no Bobs in there. We got a 0. So I think we have done it correctly. And at that point, I will end our recording. Thank you for your time.